Hey, we're back at the fourth dimension and we're up to part five of Roland Tuska discussing the Matrix. And I'll just see if Roland's going to come online now. I don't know if he's there yet, but when we were talking last time, we began to talk about the idea of consciousness orbiting consciousness. And I think Roland's with me now. Are you there,
Yeah.
brother?
Yes, I'm just trying to
Ah,
turn on my camera. Here we go. Haha.
excellent.
How you going?
Ah, good,
I
mate.
thought I'm
Good.
gonna
Good to
get
see
some sunshine. Yeah, you too. Um,
you.
uh, Beautiful
So here
morning.
we are. Mm.
Yes.
And
How you
I
going?
think after our conversation, we'll be seeing each other on the mats for a bit of jiu-jitsu. So it's going to be a
Yeah, I'm
great
looking
day, mate.
100%, 100%,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. So
Mm.
I was just kind of, as I was in the waiting room there, having some thoughts about where we were last time in our discussion and sort of where we finished up and kind of where we're heading with our conversation. And I think we're kind of talking about uh, everything being connected through, the term we're using is a matrix. Everything from what we see in our three-dimensional world through physics and other things. There's some sort of matrix holding that together, and then perhaps in the four-dimensional world, there's consciousness itself may be involved in some matrix, unseen matrix, but nevertheless real, that maybe connects human consciousnesses together. And the term I used was like orbits, and that would reflect the universe as it presents itself to us from the quantum level through to the cosmic level. And I'm just thinking about sort of leaving the conversation at that point, thinking about orbits and energy and how the orbits themselves can create a matrix of sorts and constellations of consciousness that move through life together. Um, so we kind of left it at that, and it was an interesting chat, but we've got a lot more to talk about. In the
Yes.
week since I've talked to you last, mate, what have your thoughts been around this matrix? And I know we've shared a couple of text messages, and you've kindly shared some YouTube style videos, etc., on different ideas. So where are you sitting now?
Um, huh, it's a big subject. So since last week, it's not much changed in terms of more recognizing the what is what we're living in, what's the reality, and how does that connect with our everyday um, experiences. Yeah, it is hard. So since then, you dived into understanding uh, consciousness and even just our thoughts and experiences and memories, and found out that it might be a bit more to it. Uh, I went down a rabbit hole, basically where our thoughts are channeled. So not necessarily comes from our brain, not stored in our brain as a hard drive as some things, but we actually channel our thoughts and experiences and memories from virtual cloud, as such, and which raise a few, well, questions, or maybe give us a bit more understanding where when we have a thought process and all of a sudden we're looking for a thought which was there a second ago and all of a sudden it's not there. Where's it gone? If it was actually originated from our brain, we should be able to access it constantly. And we
Mm.
know that we have, as you know, sometimes you just forget things, or the memory doesn't come back as it actually happened, or creates a different emotional experience. And you think, why is that? So why is your thoughts are not consistent always, and what affects basically these thought processes or memories to change or morph, and what is it, and why these experiences are sort of different to, like, if, for instance, something happened to you back in the day, you talk about it, and when you bring them memories back into reality, and you try and think about it, they're not consistent. So they might give you a different feeling tomorrow, a different motivation. You recognize that maybe the things that happened to you wasn't the exactly how you remember.
Yes.
And so, which is again goes back to the idea that we not just channeling memories, but probably thoughts as well. So ideas, thoughts, recognition, discoveries, understanding. So, and I think
Yep.
it's closely affected by our state of mind, our spirituality, our existence in all of this. What do you
Yes.
think about that?
I think that's really interesting because you've brought together a whole range of things. So the first word that I would identify with amongst all of those words you just said was state. So our state of existence tends to, the evidence suggests that our state of existence isn't what it seems. And you've highlighted some really important points. One is that if we are a conscious entity moving through time, we should be able to recollect the experiences that we've had in a very stable pattern moving forward. But there seems to be influences that either make us forget or change our mind over time. So the objective reality of the experience can be morphed over time through programming, all sorts of manipulation. And it goes back to what we were kind of talking about, these control levers that the other people or entities on the game board might have, and the control levers they have over us are the past, the present, and the future. And so
Yeah.
through manipulating our consciousness, through manipulating the way we remember things, perhaps they have a lot more control than a lot of people want to recognize it. But coming back to state, in my view, it all begins with, what's my state personally? And then I guess when I reflect on my state, then every other individual has their own state, their state of being. And then we build up through levels of state. So it goes from the individual through to the family, the state of affairs of the family. And then it goes to the state level, in terms of a national border or other things. And then we go through to the state of humanity. So the word state to me does ring out as like a really important factor in determining, are we an independent consciousness, or are we part of a collective that it can be that our individual, spirit, soul, consciousness that's in the ether. Perhaps it is, perhaps it does have free will, but perhaps it's also closely bonded to the consciousness field, and maybe it's partly antenna, partly receptor of what's going on in that field, and can partly be manipulated by it. But it has its own free agency, free will, to make decisions in the present. So the consciousness field that's around us, the past and the future, that's a consciousness field. Because if you and I start being anxious about the future, that can create an effect on the way we think as well. So we could easily be manipulated by media if the media is constantly negative, constantly telling us it's World War III and Armageddon's about to, descend upon us. So you've got that future field of consciousness that's affecting our present state, and then you have the past. The field of consciousness goes into the past, where we can be made to feel guilty about things that have happened in the past, when the objective reality was there's nothing to be guilty about. I'm talking about colonization, for example, or use of resources, and we can be programmed by our societies to have a lot of depression about the past. I think you could blame others about the past, and these are all negative aspects of the field of consciousness. But the objective reality, I believe, is that we have free will or agency in the present time, and that is what's beautiful. We have the opportunity of creation, but we need to be mindful of the consciousness field that's dragging us into the future that might not be ideal for humanity. And we also want to acknowledge that the consciousness field extends into the past, and we don't want to get caught up in being blamed or holding remorse or feeling depression for things that have occurred in the past. So we've got this unique sliver of time, which is the present, which is a present, by the way.
Yes.
And so we have it, but it takes, in my mind, it takes being able to break those parts down. And so when I talk about state of consciousness, we have the present at the top and the past and the future, and it forms a solid structure geometrically to explain state. And I guess I can identify exactly with what you're saying by putting my framework onto it.
Yeah.
Now,
right.
Yep. I don't want to go too much further than that at this stage, because I think this is a really interesting subject.
Do you think it's different for everybody?
Yeah, I think everyone's past, present, and future is different. So, as individual consciousnesses out there, or souls navigating the universe, we all have very different experiences, and but we talked about in the last conversation alignment, and I see that individual consciousnesses have this agency to orbit and to find alignment. And it doesn't mean we all have to be identical, but if we have a consciousness that understands another consciousness, you can create an orbit, and that orbit forms alignments at regular intervals, just like our planets do in the solar system. Jupiter will align with Mars and align with us, and there's all sorts of astrological things that might occur during those processes from ancient folklore. The gods, they bring certain harvests at certain times, or celestial events might create weather or gravitational forces. So I guess the alignments could be transposed over human consciousness and our alignments. For example, you and I are talking routinely, that forms an orbit, which develops its own force, and the more people that can come into that consciousness collective can create more force, and it's a type of, yeah, exactly, it amplifies things. So yeah, that's kind of where I think, and it fits perfectly a model of the physics that we understand as well. We don't understand how consciousness or our spiritual selves exist, and to me, it's a nice fit. It matches the patterns that nature shows us as well.
That's correct. Everything is modeled from nature, and
Yes.
more we realize that, we recognize that actually nothing new under the sun. I bought fry pan the other day, which is interesting. So it doesn't have Teflon. It's a non-stick one, and all it is just they use the honeycomb geometry pattern on the surface to create that effect. So all it is geometry. So, and I believe the key is in to understand. We were talking about the flower of life last week.
Yes.
Uh, and how important, and now we know that it's actually a secret teaching has been carried through millennia, and it was actually a hidden knowledge all the way from Pythagoras and and those folks. They created these sects or um, groups where they had a different way of viewing life and experience life. I don't say that that's the key, but it's certainly tapped on to a lot of truth. And obviously, we talked about fractals and how they continue into infinity. If you be able to go beyond um, analyzing material or sound or vibration, they all come to the same conclusion. So everything is
Yeah.
have a source code, and that source we call a higher um, architect or creator in that sense. So I believe that it's uh, connected to our memory as much as so when if you just think about someone having a car accident and a brain injury and get into coma and wake up and doesn't remember who they are, they lose their identity. Essentially, they lose their purpose. Uh,
Yes.
so consciousness, not just about or um, understanding, but finding who we are, where we come from, and what's our purpose. True.
Yeah, I totally agree. And um, I think so that you talk about, and we are talking about essentially geometric layers to our existence, some seen, some unseen. And the ones that are seen, for example, in our current reality, is we see the geometric formation of seashells, and we see it in snowflakes, and we see it
Correct.
in whirlpools in our, oceans, etc. So you see the geometry, the geometrics that the grand master architect has created, and some people will put it down to physics because that's how the electrons and neutrons and protons need to organize themselves. But that then reinforces the grand theory that this was created because it's too perfect. Now, when you say identity, I totally agree that identity is a cornerstone of human existence. So when we talked about consciousness being like a triangle, for example, a structure, a very stable structure, being
Yeah.
the present, the past, and the future. Our consciousness is there. We're always thinking about our past. We're always thinking about our future, and we're always trying to survive the present. So we
Mm.
have consciousness. The inverted structure that balances the consciousness out uh, would be another pyramid. And it is in my mind, if and this is the geometry of it, I would say identity is a cornerstone of this second triangle, for want of a better word. Um, then you would have love, because everyone must have identity, everyone must have love. So you have
Mm.
two corners. So love comes through family, friends, community, purpose, all of these sort of things. So we
Mm.
have identity, love, and I like to call it matter or matters. So we need,
Mm.
to sustain ourselves, to have a roof over our head, but it's material, it's matter per se. So
Mm.
each human needs their identity. They need to know, that they're part of a village, a nation, that they
Mm.
have a family structure around them, brothers, sisters, mothers. This all helps someone's identity form. And then they have love from the community, and then they have matters. Matter in resources would be another way of putting it. So I guess what I'm trying to do is overlay geometric structures to concepts that we do already understand, but put them into a cohesive way of thinking about things. It helps my brain to organize where I'm at, but also then to see the world, because what I'm able to do with organizing thoughts into geometric structures is to see the world in a geometric way, if that makes sense.
So what is it? How does it help you seeing the world as a geometric self? How does that help you getting organized?
Yeah. So to see the world in geometric ways allows, I guess, me to see through the propaganda, see through the illusions. So I see things probably in a different way, and that gives me peace, because I don't get highly anxious about what I'm being told or shown. And I can look back on the past and not feel as depressed or I guess have remorse for things, because I can see how things geometrically unfolded through consciousness, through how much time I orbited someone, how much time someone orbited me, and into the future, I can sort of understand where I want to position myself better to have good orbits, good constellation of consciousness, and good stability, balance, and things like that. So that's how it helps.
So it's an energy exchange, basically.
Yes.
What you do when you say orbit. So we assume that we need movement. So stagnation is not the way. As we said, everything is in motion. Everything is constant. As the sun comes up every morning and sets every night, and same as the moon. So we already in that fixed system, an enclosed system we are part of. So what I believe that wise memory and information what we extract from who knows where from, why is it important? Well, if we think about us as an antenna or a receiver, or a broadcaster in that sense, that's perfectly aligned with with what you read or know about scripture. So people who are able to channel knowledge or consciousness or even messages through a relationship, what they have. What you said that I'm going to deviate a little bit. You said about this triangle and that structure. You said state, love, and was the third
Identity.
one was identity. So
yeah.
Although we know that a lot of big thinkers, they have to take themselves out of this context. They might have to go and be themselves alone for a year in a cave or on top of the mountain, meditate or whatever. Often I see that as it is necessary to know who we are and what's our identity, but truly to go deeper, sometimes you have to have solitude. Sometimes you have to be yourself, by yourself, to tap in the essence of this. Why do you think, as much as we understand our identity comes from our relationships, obviously with family, work colleagues, friends, whatever you do, in the same time, you do need to extract yourself from this or life or the noise to be to comprehend what am I doing and what am I here for, and what's my purpose. So why do you think that even that we say that our identity comes from these sort of connections, you still to achieve higher, you would say, people say vibration or consciousness or whatever, to understand go deeper, you need to have silence, solitude, isolation in that sense. And we know
Yeah.
that there's a
What
lot
do
of
I think?
people who has been isolated in some way or other, or people in prison when they actually have solitary confinement, they tap into their inner selves, tap into
Yeah.
something what they weren't able to. Like they
Yes.
close their sensory, the normal way of understand tangible things. They actually able to reflect. They go in their mind, they say, and try to understand the higher elements of this existence. Why do you
Yeah.
think why do you think it is?
Well, so I can only talk from my experience because, uh, I guess I've had busy periods of my life.
Mm,
Most of my life's busy, but I've had very profound moments of solitude as well. So I think, from my experience, you put it really well, and I think you've pretty much answered the question already for me. But so the noise around us is it's unavoidable when we try and pursue a life in modern society. We're going to have noise. It's going to be interference with clear signal. If we
yeah,
are an antenna, um, we are, surrounded by not just human consciousness that orbits us and draws us towards it at any given time, but we also have 5G and
yeah.
Wi-Fi and electrical circuits that surround us constantly every day. So I see our reception as being distorted, and
Mm,
uh,
yes.
some some people are, that maybe their antenna is strong enough to still feel that the underlying, deep level frequencies of the universe, and maybe they end up being the pastors of the church, or the
Prophets.
monks that, yeah, prophets and other people, and their antennas, whether it's through geometrics, within their biomechanical structure. Maybe there's a DNA structure that connects generations of people back to, Jesus, as an example. Or maybe there's family DNA that connects to the kings of old that were said to have, powers that transcended from demigods and other things. So maybe there's uh, maybe there's a DNA structure that's ideally suited to receiving. Maybe there's not. I don't know. I'm speculating. But you see, Da Vinci obviously saw the human body as an antenna. He saw it for the geometric nature of it, in terms of, the um, divine codes like the Fibonacci sequence and golden ratio, etc., being within the human body. The distance between the fingers and the elbow, and how that
Yes.
all
Yeah.
correlates around a human body. So,
Yeah.
look, there could be something physical that is in some humans innately. There could be, something in the mind that, the great thinkers like Sir Isaac Newton, or, Einstein, or others, they have maybe their pituitary gland is slightly, elongated or shorter, and therefore, they are able to tap into a level of conscious field that other people can't. So there could be the physical side of things. There could be the spiritual side of things. You might have very talented people that can connect with, on an empathetic level, spiritually, because their vibration is, spiritual vibration is very
Mm,
closely attuned to those, divine vibrations, and people can feel that. Um, I guess, uh, in a nutshell, we have a lot of noise around us. Uh, to go out, to be alone, helps to take away some of that noise, and
mm,
helps us to readjust with the universal kind of vibrations again. And it's no surprise that some of the most peaceful, loving, empathetic people are the monks that go and sit on top of a hill every day. That's no surprise to me. It should be that way. If we had the time to go and self-reflect and do that, I would be really disappointed if the people that went and sat on top of a hill every day went crazy. I see that as kind of common sense. And the more you can do it as a person, probably the better it is in your life. But if the whole world was monks, we wouldn't have, planes flying around being able to take us to travel and see our family overseas and all that sort of stuff. So there's like this balance that we have to find as a human species as we move forward, where the human condition so we'll kind of jump back, if it's okay, to how are we all connected? Well, is there like a divine, godlike force out there? And if there was, and I'm open to that. And in fact, I have a lot of hope that that's the case, because I see, humankind being very misguided. So in some ways, I have that hope that there's something greater out there. But I guess if you were to assume that there was a higher being that had created our existence and everything within it, I would imagine and hope that that being was experiencing what we were experiencing, from all of the negativity to all of the positivity, because only then would it have a true understanding of the human condition. So, in other words, to be a omnipotent force that has created mankind, I would hope and expect that it lives through the worst of things with us, through the human condition, through the spirit that are put into someone that's a slave in Africa, through to the person that has all the money in the world and runs a large corporation. So that spiritual divine entity would be within all of us as well, I would hope. Because if it's not, if all of that negativity that's existing out there in the world, with the warlords that are using slaves and, sending kids into mines to dig up cobalt and all of that sort of thing, it's very concerning if there's other forces that are that powerful that they can manipulate humankind. I don't know if that makes sense, but I guess where I'm at is we have the fingerprints of something extremely powerful that we are seeing now. Supercomputers are seeing it. We see it for ourselves. Physics is seeing it in mathematics and other things. So we know there's the fingerprints of something. What is that? And is it a divine spiritual force that's within all of us? Or are there, I guess, divided states of existence? And perhaps we're in one state of existence and there's other entities that live in different states of existence that have always been there, that are kind of the darkness or the underbelly of creation. And they might have been called the demons or, the devil or other things at other times.
Wow. If you look at, so how I see this, it's creation itself. You would ask why we are created if we believe in creation, and if we take away one thing, what if we created to show that what if we created to bring the balance back into these chaos? In that sense, we are a tool to show God God's divinity in that sense. Obviously, if you look at humans, and you were talking about love is the central aspect of that. And we talk about Christ. So you said that the creator should be able to experience everything we do in the bad and the good. And it's a perfect example of how we saw or see um, Christ basically was living here 33 years, and basically understood face to face what people about and where their struggles and pain and misunderstandings in this. And it is so much information in there. We're talking about scriptures, geometrics, mathematics, physics, but all they come down to the same uh, um, conclusion. And so I think when you talk about saying we have to understand this and that another, in the same time we realize more we dig in, it's much simpler. I feel like we make it difficult, we make it complex, but it's actually very, and as I said, the honeycomb shape. It's how, or the tetrahedrons, or we know that
Yes.
these structures basically emit energy.
Yeah.
And so just its geometric patterns can maybe create anti-gravity, non-stick, or whatever properties. So what we see is basically we can manipulate physics just by geometric shapes and patterns, right? And so but as we are, you say that if we live in the matrix, and so we know that if we are compare it like as a computer programming, then it would make sense. But it's probably easier for us to understand because now we live in the world where we uh, use computers in all aspects in our life, yeah. And here is AI, and it's manifesting, and it's able to chat and give you advice, and you think, where is this knowledge coming from? Where is the source? Where is that knowledge? And say whether should we take it as a face value, or should we still second out those informations coming? And we can see how we can manipulate, and it comes to the play when we talk about Mandela effect. So I was talking about memories, knowledge, even thought process. Like I'm talking now, where are these thoughts coming from? Is that coming from my understanding, or is that coming from I'm channeling this uh, from the ether when I'm able to consciously tune into that frequency?
Yes.
Um, so we are agreed that everything is electromagnetic.
Yes.
Gravity itself is it's not what we think it is. Gravity is actually a push and pull force of electromagnetism, the toroid field, and we
Yes.
know now that that sort of atomic structure could be penetratable, changeable. Uh, we know now that our mind can do a lot of things but we didn't think it's possible. It's almost supernatural or godlike. And then we bring in all the knowledge and esoteric um, uh, experiences into play, and then it says, oh, it's all the same. Although we have a source, so the what I believe it is, it's always there. We are just need to be able to channel it. So we need to be able to be on the same wavelength. And as you were listening at different radio channels, you can get different radio channels tells you a different uh, information, right? So you need to
Yes.
be able to tune into the right channel. So
Yeah.
how do you know it's the right channel? We obviously it's a hard thing because we're all longing to understand, to uncover, to make sense of life and our existence and our selves. Uh, but where are we going to find that knowledge? When I see people desperately trying to tap into um, practices where you might open up yourself up to a whole world which you don't want to get involved with, just
Yes.
by
There's a lot of,
but correct, just by
yeah.
want to know, just by want to make sense. So your intentions is to clarify things, to understand things, but at the same time it's your responsibility where that information comes from. And you should
Yes.
have, and we talk about gut feeling over these 4 or 5 chats we had. um, I believe gut feeling is your filtration system. This is where you should be aligned with, and we know that gut itself is it's crucial to produce certain chemicals and hormones, and these chemicals and hormones are able to able you to be your best self or even the worst self. So digestion of the food what we eat is actually produce chemicals or create things in our body which either hinder or release um, consciousness in that sense. And I'm
Mm.
talking
Mm.
about simple hormones like oxytocin, serotonin, the happy hormones, the things which you're able to feel happy and content, and you feel makes
Mm.
you feel that you're on the right track.
Yeah, the cocktail of endorphins. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so we know that it's attack on our food supplies, the things what we obviously consume, and it's not just physical things. So whatever we consume is going to determine whether we're able to align or disalign, and it comes really simple, basic patterns people can implement in their everyday life. Uh, so what I believe it is, and I'm sorry, I'm just rambling a little bit, that
No, no, it's,
your consciousness and your state of mind is related and connected with your lifestyle, your food and beverage intake, and basically whatever you put in physically and mentally into your self. And this could be again conscious or unconscious way to do that. So your patterns you're doing, it creates your reality and state of mind. And
yes.
I believe that that is where manifestation comes from. So when you are consciously focused and determined, you actually I'm bringing back memories when I was competing in boxing. The only time I could win a match if I already won it in my head.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
about.
Mm.
And it's incredible. It's incredible powerful. Like you could have the best technique, you could be training for years, and you get to that point, and if you're not there in your head or in your heart, like you don't grab that win before,
Mm.
and you say
Mm.
you actually have to prime yourself to be able to get to that state, and it's really comes down to your belief. What are your beliefs? You believe you can do that? Because if you don't, you wouldn't even leave the house.
Mm.
Like if I know, for instance, I'm gonna do my shopping, I I I leave home in faith that the shops is still gonna be there, and I'm able to um, um, complete my mission. Right? I
Yeah.
think the same concept in all walk of life. So if you don't have the
Yeah.
self belief, you don't have if you're not focused. So I watched a really good video on drifting. and how you can actually uh, um, train your head or mind to be focused, because
Mm.
drifters are in their head, but they're not using their brain. That's what
Mm.
that's
Yeah.
what it's all about. Um, so again, it's always you are the focal point in this, yeah. So you have to make those choices. You have to be aligned. You have to uh, make those steps to enable you to get to the realization who I am, what am I here for, what am I doing. And they are
Yeah.
simple things:
Absolutely.
lifestyle,
They are.
food, relationship, love, and projected goals you actually
Yeah.
have to have.
So
Otherwise, you
the
just
pre-
aimlessly wander. Yes.
yes,
So
yeah. There's a word I use for these people that have a head but don't use their brain. I call them sheeple, and I think other people do as well.
yes, yes, true. That's true.
um, but look,
That's true.
I'm identifying exactly with what you're saying, and your plans going into a boxing match using intense visualization to win the fight before you even
Yes,
fight.
yes,
It's a great way of uh, preparing for the future. And I guess going back to that triangle that I showed you, the past, present, and future, the geometrics of your future are things like your belief, and you could crystallize that intense visualization into a geometric structure, which must be stable,
yeah,
and include things like good food, exercise, relaxation, belief. The geometric structure will take form. And as a coach, and so I hold a diploma in coaching, and I've learned a lot of things about people over many years in terms of what motivates people. How do you build the structures up, the syllabus, or the environment that is geometrically structured, by the way? How do
mm,
you take people through that journey so they do have a future from their present, where they walk in as a white belt, through to them achieving their goals, whatever that may be, whether it's in a
mm,
UFC ring or getting their black belt in jiu-jitsu. I don't, that's their journey. But
yeah,
part of understanding the future is intense visualization. And I don't do it for just myself. As a coach, I do it for everyone. So I'm trying to create that environment of geometrical structure to take them into the future. And it takes discipline. So, every day I have to work on myself as well.
mm,
And we all do. But
yeah,
I guess discipline is one of the cornerstones, because if you can't have discipline through good routine, getting good sleep, eating good food, having, and it takes discipline to have good relationships with people, even the closest people to you. You need to have
yes,
discipline.
yeah,
So, I think coming back to what you were saying, yes, there is this key part to us that starts in our consciousness, and it's
mm,
that belief. And then if you can build a belief, so in Shugyo, instead of saying belief on the Shugyo Mon, I just call it your reason. So
mm,
there's that Mon, like this thing here, and
yes,
in the syllabus I talk about the different sort of meanings of the different inverted diamonds here, or the diamond shapes, which are triangles essentially. But I talk about them, and the word I use instead of belief is just find your reason. What is going to be the thing that makes you get up every day and be
correct,
motivated enough? Because you need to find your reason and then make it important and be disciplined. But
yes,
and I guess coming back to that intense visualization, I just add a layer to the intense visualization. So if I was to take your analogy of a boxing fight, um, but take it over to like a jiu-jitsu fight, uh, so uh, as you've said, you must have the belief that you can outwit, outsmart your opponent. You must have that belief. If you don't believe that, you've already lost. So how do you get to that point where you believe? You train hard, you work hard.
You build your confidence. Correct. Yeah, you train your nervous
So,
system and all that. And apparently your brain doesn't know the difference.
No,
By visualizing
it
something, playing art, you can actually train in your mind, which actually going to translate into neural functions and obviously repetition does the same thing. Visualization comes from the understanding of actually I can create reality in that sense.
Yes. Yeah. So I guess that's something that I try to impart over time. And the intense visualization thing can go, I use it for having a role with someone, for example. I visualize how I want to start that role. It doesn't go to plan all the time, but 90% of the time it does, because I'm the only one with the plan. Because most people are sheeple. They're a head without a consciousness, a brain that's functioning in that moment. They're there, but they haven't. Their consciousness isn't in the future yet. They haven't had intense visualization. They haven't built a geometric framework around how they're entering the future.
It's a stagnating state. It's a water stagnates, it starts stinks and go off, right? Without the flow, without the movement, as you said, the orbit, without actual movement, which makes again everything is circulating. Your blood flow, your neurons firing in this constant whirlpool. Motion.
And we are independent entities, Roland, you and I, and every other human out there. We're independent, but it doesn't mean we can't be aligned, because in our orbits, we are aligning at least once a day, right? So we're orbiting each other. Does that make sense? Like, I'll think about the conversation, and maybe you don't think about our conversations once a day, but I certainly do. So, as an example, we don't have to be talking. I might, on a Monday morning on my way to work, be thinking about the conversation that we had the previous day. And I'm thinking about something you told me. And so I start to orbit you. You don't know that I'm orbiting you, but I am. I'm thinking about stuff we've talked about. And I probably orbit once a day, thereabouts. Something, you might send me a text message, or you know what I mean? It can be. So our consciousnesses are orbiting, and we are in alignment to an observer. We are in alignment. So this is how you build community as well. And I think over time, if you are disciplined and you do have good routines and you set your mission or your duty as a high duty in life, then you do, well, you can take people on a journey as well. Doesn't happen all the time, but you can. And that's the proof to me. That's the evidence that we are connected. You know, we aren't just independent out there, you know, you know, with a fate of entropy. We are actually divinely gifted. Once we know this, we can actually build constellations of consciousness. But while we think we're alone, or while we try and act alone, we are stuck. We're stagnant. It takes orbits to generate energy.
Yes, flow. Correct. Correct. And so it goes to show that energy is always present. So we know that ether has been taken out of our periodic table. Ether is connects everything. They call it probably a God particle or a dark matter. I don't even know. Nikola Tesla.
But I don't think they don't even know. I think, by the way, they don't even know.
Well, they know that they want to hide it. So if they took, if that was in on the periodic table, early before the 1900s, all of a sudden to actually Einstein coming up with relativity was unable to take that element out and say that it doesn't exist. Nikola Tesla is a prime example. He always imagined his inventions before he even put it into practice. He was the only guy in that era that anything he he in his head or on paper worked, he put it together, it worked straight away. Contrary, Edison had to do a thousand experiments, little tweaks and this and do it thousand times before he got it right. So the difference is is basically two approach. One approach is that Nikola Tesla must have had able to channel those information from the cloud clearly, and every time he put that onto a practical machine or outcome, it was always worked. He never failed to do that. And we know that we do it back to front. So we're trying to, if I wanna create something, you have to have 100 prototypes, and they're probably gonna give up on the 10th, my 10th trial. Because our attention span is shortened, and now we can't even watch a fucking video which is longer than 2 minutes. You get bored, and this is what it is. People now we are on this world where everything is instant, everything has to happen. I can't wait 10 seconds, or got frustrated on the red light because someone's too slow. And we high wired to consume, to just roll through these things instead of go stop and give it a moment and enjoy.
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
how interesting is that you can always see that people who wants to reconnect with the highest selves or God, they go out to nature. They uh, it's proven that hugging a tree actually really creates release endorphins and creates an electromagnetic field where you can tap into. And we say it as well, you have to be grounded, or you're not grounded, we need to be grounded. What does it tell you? This everything is electric, everything is energy, everything is magnetism and electromagnetism, and we are a vessel. And so and we do know that the human body is more capable of doing things that we understand. Uh, we see that we are able to heal ourselves, create all chemicals, including psychedelics. We have receptors where we just find out that they actually exist, and we consuming nicotine through bell peppers and aubergine and for instance, and then now smoking kills, obviously, because they're trenched into all sorts of chemicals, so you don't get the full effect. We know that nicotine. I don't know if you watched that video I sent you. Nicotine has an amazing properties where not just your cognitive function but your health. You could put a nicotine patch on your back when you're cold, and it's going to go away. Have antimicrobial effect. Actually, can kill. Um, or or dismantle structures where cause you be sick or cancerous, or even artificially injected nanobots can be destroyed with nicotine. So
Yes.
how, and we know that the actual ceremony of smoking pipe, what we know about Native American traditions, that they had a significance in um, spirituality, peacemaking,
Yes.
conversation, social gathering, oneness, understanding.
Yeah.
And so as much as we're trying to mimic all these drugs synthetically, which is absolutely devastating for our body and our nature, as we know. Um,
Mm.
we know exactly that we are, so everything is a given. We just have to tap into, have to find it, have to utilize it, have to discover, and make the right use of these
Yes, that's the
elements.
key, isn't it? Yes,
Correct.
that is the
So,
key. I agree.
so again, substance is what we actually use to calm us, or make us happy, or even uh, give us focus. If you don't use these substances creatively, you're gonna flood your senses and you become stagnant. So
Yeah.
you become a drifter. You become a brain dead dude
Yeah.
who taking too much shit because you use it wrong. So I'm
Mm.
saying, like, for instance, if I would say, if you use a mushroom with the purpose to reconnect, maybe once a month or once in a lifetime, maybe that's going to give you a different outlook and experience, and a catalyst to your life than if you take it recreationally every week or every day because you're bored.
Yeah,
So
I
we,
totally agree. Um,
so we-
you know, it's a topic that, as you know, I really enjoy smoking my big Gandalf pipe, and I love sharing the experience. The pipe tobacco doesn't have all the chemicals of cigarette tobacco, so I'm quite
yes.
comfortable with the use of it. Um, but I
Mm.
never started smoking a pipe until I was about 40 years old. So, um,
Wow.
you know, uh, I think there's a time and place for these rituals, let's call them. And I think we've lost the rituals because we've lost our culture. Just as a peoples generally, across the world, we're losing
Mm.
our cultural indigenous practices and
Yeah.
rituals that did connect us to the land, to the earth, to nature.
Mm.
And that's a real shame because we're losing our humanity along with it. And I think there's a time and place for rituals where, younger people, they can look forward to doing the rituals with the older people that are sitting around having a pipe at the fire,
Mm.
talking about important subjects that matter to the village. Younger children have roles to play as well, and they can look forward to being the ones that sit and have these certain rituals at certain times later in life.
Yeah.
It's not a denial of, their freedom. It's a recognition that it's a rite of passage too in life. And whether that goes for mushrooms or for, tobacco, or in the states where it's legal, like Canberra, marijuana and other things,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's an opportunity, if it's built correctly into our culture, to actually enhance the human experience, and not try and control it, for want of a better word. But
Mm.
coming back to the tobacco, and how certain substances, including food, can change your brain waves and your state of mind. Um,
Yeah.
so exercising your brain is just as important as exercising your body, and challenging your brain is just as important as challenging your body. So
Correct.
I see these processes as expanding your thought and being able to not just think clearly and creatively with nothing in it, but try doing it with something, some sort of substance in it, because the outcome might just surprise you. Um,
Mm.
so there's that side of it. It's challenging your mind to be able to work harder in different environments, chemical environments. Having said that, I'm not giving any medical advice to anyone at the moment. Everyone's got their own individual journey.
100%, 100%. Because you all should be responsible for your own, and blaming other. It's like, oh, I've done this because someone said to me doing this. That. You still have your control. It's your responsibility.
Yes.
It's like
Yep.
your responsibility to find yourself, your purpose, and where you actually go wrong, and correct those mistakes.
Yes.
Um, this is the number one problem today's society, that is they're lacking accountability, and
Yeah.
so not taking responsibility means that they don't take control. They
Yeah.
blame their circumstances from other inputs, and things happen. Oh, it would have be different if that happened, or if I got that job. And we talked about the uncertainty of uh, elements that they got poured into a funnel. They always end up in the same. Even if you
Mm.
think look chaotic, they're gonna create the same uh, wave. Sorry, the
Yes.
bell curve. And I
Bell
think
curve. Mm.
correct. So if that's the case, um, how you achieve and how you go about your journey is almost less important. Well, it is important, of course, but the outcome is going to be inevitably the same. What I mean by that, it's we are governed by forces and energies that we cannot change in that sense. But what we could do is through that journey, when we arrive to the end product, we are enriched with the recognition, be able to correct ourselves and be able to get ready to go to the next stage. And I believe
Yes.
that's what all you live your life, and when you end your life, you should be able to look back and say, I arrived. Unfortunately,
Yes.
a lot of people have no freaking clue. They aimlessly, being thrown by the wave of life, and all they get out of this is just blaming and resentment and upset and sorrow, instead of looking at anything what I do now today enables me to be better, to be
Yes.
a better version of myself, a better team player, healthier, more alert. And these are the decisions everybody should come to realize that they need for them to arrive to their destination.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Largely.
It is a personal journey for everyone, and one of the
Mm.
challenges is not trying to push someone into that, because if you push someone into choosing that journey, they're going to do it under sufferance. They've got to come to
Yes,
that realization for themselves, and
that's
um,
exactly.
this is this is part of the challenge of our human existence. Is as as I go through life, it's like walking a mile, seeing a mile. I see things differently for each year I go through life, and
Yeah.
um, what I thought was right when I was 30, I don't think is right now. Sometimes, there's different parts to my life that are changing, and so I've got to resist the temptation of telling someone else how they should live, because I was potentially in a different place just like they are. And I needed to come to it myself, just as they do. I think the fine line, or walking the line with someone, is being able to talk about it without it becoming something that is existential to the orbit. So if you do find balance and orbit with someone, it's so good to be able to communicate freely, but the
Mm.
expectations of the orbit are only determined by the individuals. They can't be enforced.
No.
So whether that's your child, or whether it's your partner or your
Mm.
parent, um, if you want to orbit them, walking the line of deciding how much do you try and influence their life or not is the challenge. And I think my children probably look at me and go, Dad, I'd change this about you, and I'd change that about you, and I probably look at them and think the same thing. Um,
Mm.
so we all have our individual kind of conceptions of the world, but I think the key to it is in the initial stages, finding yourself in orbit, acknowledging that there's an orbit,
Mm.
understanding what the routine of the orbit is. Like, some people don't understand boundaries or
Mm.
social etiquette, and they will turn up on your doorstep every day wanting to have a coffee. And it's because they love being around you. Of course, that's why they're turning up, but it might not
Yeah.
suit your orbit. So having a conversation that's really free and honest, good communication is the key, because that will stabilize the orbit to where both people feel like, there's an alignment and there's something to move forward with. So it's a
Definitely.
very challenging process, but I'm only, I'm just a human, and I'm enjoying the process, and I get it wrong sometimes, but I like to talk
Yeah.
about it, and I like to understand it in geometric ways. Hey, I know we've got to get going to our seminar, jiu-jitsu, but we didn't get to the next person on the game board, so it's going to be round 6, and we're going to talk about the puppeteers next time, because I'm really keen to talk about that. I don't know if it's focusing.
But no,
Um,
well, yep.
but I'm keen to have a chat about that, because these guys are actually ones that are making a matrix at the moment. It's not the real matrix, but it's a matrix underway nonetheless. So I'm keen to discuss that a bit more.
Again, it shows, isn't it, like which is really interesting in that sense. If you talk about the devil is a copycat, right? You're trying to mimic godlike properties, and so we always see like a mimic. And as you said, the puppeteers, they can create a matrix themselves. So we might live in the matrix, but they want to create a matrix so we can live in their matrix.
Correct.
So, so what we need to do is really wake up and yeah, recognize where you at, what whose reality you live in, and it's
Yep.
certainly if it's not yours, then you have to find yourself and guide yourself every day, small steps every day, small steps at the time, so you can get to the recognition, and obviously you find it's like this is my road I have to walk on. And as you said, yeah,
Yes.
you need people around you to remind you, to guide you, to actually enable you to think critically, not just of your life, but your surroundings and society as a whole.
Yes.
And that's where consciousness comes into play, as we said. So the tidal wave is there. You can jump in, you can push against it, or you go with the flow and amplify naturally the truth which comes out of you. And you connect
Yes.
and you're going to attract the same minded people, same hearted people. So it's a
Yes.
beautiful
Yep.
journey, isn't it? It's a journey where you can actually be in control. You have to start with yourself, then
Yeah.
connect with people, with like-minded people, to energize that purpose and goal, and create those communities where you can flourish and make it a reality. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's the in my view, it's the only opposing force to darkness and entropy. It's the only opposing force, because it's the
Mm.
only authentic force. Any other forces, whether it's money or puppeteers or corporatocracies or monarchies, the
Mm.
authenticity starts with the common man and his journey and building communities around him, not from those other entities that we'll get to discussing. Um, and
Correct.
so I believe we're on the right track, brother.
Yes, me too. It is a journey. Sometimes you feel you're stuck. Sometimes you feel you have to crash through some barriers. But you should have your eyes on the prize, and
Yes.
keep your focus. So focus is important. Knowing from my training, if you don't have focus, you're aimless.
Yeah.
If you don't have direction, you are wavering. You don't have an orbit. You don't have the track where you need to be on. And
Yep.
obviously, we know little changes in geometrics can affect the outcome fatally. Like aerodynamics, if you stuff up something, the plane takes off, and one element is not screwed down properly, is going to create the plane to crash, right? So
Yes.
we need to take that shape, as you said, the geometric shape, where you can propel your consciousness and create energy flows
Into the
which
future.
it's an interaction, your interaction with reality and your effect or your ripple effect. So if you're unable to influence your surroundings, means that you have no power. You're powerless in that
Exactly.
sense. What are you
Exactly.
doing there
Yeah.
then? What are you? Why are you here for?
Yeah. I
You know,
agree.
mm,
Yeah.
mission.
It's beautiful stuff. It's beautiful stuff, brother. All right. Well, you safe drive to the dojo, and I'll see you soon. I'll see you on the mats.
Sounds good. See you then. Thanks for
Take
your
care.
chat.
See you soon.
Take care.
It's been
See ya.
great. Take care.
Yes. Bye.